Lu Xun, the very future of Wu hangs on officers like yourself.
I have faith in you. Unite this land under the name of Wu.
Lose. This is the end!
Master Lu Mang!
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Night Owl channel. Welcome back to this series where we're counting down the top Dynasty Warriors characters as of the latest game. Coming in at number 8, we have the last Wu character on the list. This makes him the most popular character for the Wu Kingdom. We have Lu Xun. Lu Xun is the second name for Lu Yi, a politician who served Sun Quan. He is praised as a dexterous individual whose strategies prevailed over Guan Yu and Liu Bei's tactics. An ailing Lu Meng recognized his talents and specifically recommended him as a suitable successor. Lu Xun would continue to perform admirably in the services until he was dragged into the internal dispute for the throne by his lord's successor. He passed away from the chaos sabotage out of shame while remaining diligent to his beliefs, a loss which Sun Quan sincerely regretted. Romance of the Three Kingdoms claims that he was a tall and handsome figure, his wife is Sun Shi, and his son and successor is Lu Kang. Before we jump into how Lu Xun has changed since his playable debut back in the first Dynasty Warriors game, an OG original character of the series, let's take a look at the popularity polls to see why Lu Xun is the most popular Wu character in this series. So in the first popularity poll, we have Lu Xun receiving 1,062 votes out of a total of over 75,000 votes, putting him down at the 28th position. In the second popularity poll, he's going to impressively break the top 5, and Lu Xun is going to reign in at number 3. And then my personal rankings, he's just shy of the top 10 at number 11. So for me personally, he's just outside the top 10 for me. He's a very good character, and I've always enjoyed playing the character. I honestly didn't know he was an original character of the series, which is pretty cool to see, and we're going to talk about all of his changes within the series and everything like that. But before we do, let's talk a little bit more about Lu Xun for people who don't know. So Lu Xun was a Chinese military general and politician of the state of Eastern Wu during the Three Kingdoms period of China. He started his career as an official under the warlord Sun Quan in the 200s during the late Eastern Han Dynasty and steadily rose through the ranks. In 219, he assisted Sun Quan's general Lu Meng in the invasion of Jing province, which led to the defeat and death of Liu Bei's general Guan Yu. In 222, he would serve as the field commander of the Wu army in the Battle of Yiling and scored a decisive victory over the enemy. Lu Xun reached the pinnacle of his career after this battle as Sun Quan regarded him more highly, promoted him to higher positions, and bestowed upon him unprecedented honors. In his final years, Lu Xun was drawn into a succession struggle between Sun Quan's sons and fell out of Sun Quan's favor as a consequence. He managed to retain his appointment as Imperial Chancellor, but would die a couple years later in frustration. On the one hand, he provided constant and timely advice to Sun Quan to exercise benevolence and consider the welfare of the people. However, on the other hand, he vehemently objected to Sun Quan's idea of replacing his legitimate heir apparent in favor of a younger son. So within history, Lu Xun was a very well respected and trusted strategist for Sun Quan, and that transcends into the games, as you can see a very good relationship between Lu Xun and Sun Quan. Lu Xun plays a very pivotal role within the games, Now, a lot of characters actually didn't like Lu Xun's quick rise through the ranks and perhaps given so much power right away so quickly, but Lu Xun in every instance was able to gain their trust and admiration and respect from the plans that he was able to successfully execute, which resulted in victories for the Wu Kingdom. Lu Xun was a quick-witted and perceptive man who believes in seeing the big picture, and his outstanding talent and youthful energy helped inspire Sun Quan and his allies during dire times. He was very formal and humble, and he tries to see the best in every person, be they ally or foe. And he also idolizes his mentor Zhou Yu, Lu Su, and Lu Meng, and subconsciously strives to match or surpass their caliber. I really like Lu Xun's personality within the game. It's a very humble yet inspiring kind of attitude, and even though he's, quote unquote, so young within the series, he's still able to inspire and again gain that trust, respect, and admiration from the officers that perhaps doubt him or just don't believe that he is able to successfully lead an army into battle. When we go into the relationship section, we'll talk specifically about certain characters that really didn't like Lu Xun in the beginning, but grew to like him over time because he was able to demonstrate the value that he can bring to the Wu Kingdom. I've always liked Lu Xun, that's why he's number 11 for me, almost a top 10 character, and honestly he can be argued as one of my top 10 characters because his weapon style is really cool, personality is great, I love the way he looks, and he's just a really interesting character. I've always liked Lu Xun, and even in situations when Lu Xun seems to be at the top or like he seems to be one of the best among the Wu Kingdom, he always maintains a sense of humbleness and is always willing to learn, very respectful of those who are of talent, and always trying to find a way to get better as a person. And that's something that I really admire about the character Lu Xun, and I'm assuming that's why he did so well in that second poll. Can't say enough good things about Lu Xun, but with that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump into the changes that he has within the Dynasty Warriors games. He's got a bunch of changes, so we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. We're going to start off with Lu Xun's appearance. Alright, so his appearance within most of the games overall is really good. I really liked his look in Dynasty Warriors 4 and in Dynasty Warriors 9. Now, most of the games has a similar look to what he has. I mean, he doesn't really stray too much from the way he originally looked within the series. Of course, the only game that's really noticeable is Dynasty Warriors 6. So back in the day when I first picked up Dynasty Warriors 6, I was appalled with what they did to Lu Xun. I thought they turned him into a female at first because it just looked so weird. It was very feminine for Lu Xun, and it was such a different look from how he previously looked in Dynasty Warriors 4 and 5. I don't have the same visceral appalled reaction to it. I guess I grew to be okay with it because he still has hints of his old appearance in him in terms of what he's wearing, but he just looks a little bit more flamboyant than he did in the previous games. And when I first picked it up, I was like, what did they do to my boy Lu Xun? Why did they make him look like that? I was not a fan of the Dynasty Warriors 6 look. In Dynasty Warriors 7, he goes back to his semi-older look, and he looks a little better. But Dynasty Warriors 9, they really go back to his old style, give him his hat back. He has this little trench coat, the little vest that cuts into two little wings. That's supposed to represent the swallow and, the bird that Lu Xun really symbolizes. And I can't really complain about the way Lu Xun looks. Again, I think he looks the best in Dynasty Warriors 4. He looks so badass in Dynasty Warriors 4. I don't know what it was. He had a different aura about him in Dynasty Warriors 4. Super badass in Dynasty Warriors 4. Probably my favorite. But I can't really complain about the way Lu Xun looks. Now moving on to his weapon style. His weapon style within the game was pretty good. He maintains pretty much the same weapon except for Dynasty Warriors 6. In Dynasty Warriors 6, he has just a regular sword. But in all the other games, he has the dual swords. And I don't particularly mind his weapon in Dynasty Warriors 6. I actually liked it. I mean, it flowed really well for Lu Xun. I really liked his Musou attack in Dynasty Warriors 6. The way they finish it, he does a little butterfly kick and then slams it to the ground, big AoE. Don't really mind that at all. I had a lot of fun with him in Dynasty Warriors 6. And then moving on to his weapon style with the dual swords was pretty good as well. The earlier games, 3, 4, and 5, was pretty fun to play as. Didn't have too much to complain about. He was a very short range character, so you had to really get close to who you were fighting. But I can't complain too much about it. I thought it was just fine. The earlier Musous were good as well. Had a little bit of an AoE attached to them, wasn't too crazy, but it was decent for him. And then in Dynasty Warriors 7, 8, and 9, I really liked it in Dynasty Warriors 7. Dynasty Warriors 8 was interesting, still fun, but very interesting. I probably liked it a little bit more in Dynasty Warriors 7, and I think Dynasty Warriors 9 is the best version of this style. It just felt smooth in Dynasty Warriors 9. It was really fun to play with in Dynasty Warriors 9. I had a lot of fun with that. Dynasty Warriors 8, he still maintained the dual swords, but he had this shadow that came out and helped him attack and stuff like that. It was very intriguing. It was a little off-putting if you're not used to it, but once you get used to it, it was pretty fun to play with. Can't complain too much about it. But I think Dynasty Warriors 7 was a little bit better than Dynasty Warriors 8, and then Dynasty Warriors 9 was the pinnacle of this weapon style. But I can't complain too much about it. The Musou attacks for the later games, they combined the first and second Musous from Dynasty Warriors 8 into the main one for Dynasty Warriors 9. Can't complain too much about his weapon style, it's really fun. So moving on to his voice acting, we have his voice actor from Dynasty Warriors 3, which was pretty good.
Spread the word. At midnight, we moved to the river to face the Shu army.
And then he would get the same voice actor from Dynasty Warriors 4 to Dynasty Warriors 8.
I have decided. We'll use your plan in the battle.
And then he gets a different one in Dynasty Warriors 9.
I'd like to thank you for coming, Master Zhuge Liang.
Of course, the best voice actor for Lu Xun is going to be the Dynasty Warriors 4 through 8 one. He was his voice actor for so long. He does a really good job bringing to life the kind of character that Lu Xun is. He's young, he's intelligent, but he also remains humble, and he has moments when he stands up for himself. I think it really displays the maturity of the character with his voice style. Can't complain too much about it, and I really liked his voice in Dynasty Warriors 4 through 8. But like I said, Dynasty Warriors 3 was good. I think it was fine for him. Dynasty Warriors 9 was interesting. It wasn't too bad, but it was like they really tried to make him the nerdy character. It wasn't like crazy bad or anything like that. I think it fits him, but I think they need a shift when Lu Xun becomes a staple as a commander within the Wu Kingdom. He changes, he's different. He still maintains that humbleness and I guess a little bit of nerdiness. Honestly, it was kind of out of character with his Dynasty Warriors 9 ending. I mean, I was laughing. I thought it was funny, but it just seemed out of character. Not saying that Lu Xun was super serious, but I didn't see him as that. He was very nerdy, very goofy kind of character that came out of him. And maybe that's a part of his personality that doesn't really show because I've never seen Lu Xun like that in any of the games. But if they're going to go that route, they got to maintain that and find a way to balance it when he is a commander. But can't complain too much about the voice acting. I thought overall it was pretty good. And now we're going to move on to the last parts of the video. We have his significant battles, his relationships, and his death. So we're going to start off with his significant battles. He's got a few within the game. So the most significant battles for Lu Xun within the game is going to be the Battle of Fan Castle, Yiling, Shiting, and Hefei Castle. So starting off with the Battle of Fan Castle, a very important battle for Lu Xun, not because he played a big role in this battle, and the main reason that this battle is also important because he also loses Lu Meng. So Lu Meng is a very important relationship to him. We're just going to talk about his relationship with Lu Meng, I guess, as well. His relationship with Lu Meng was very important up to this battle because he was his mentor. So they have a mentor-student relationship. He was learning everything he could from this character before he passed away. I believe that Lu Xun's most important relationship within the game is Lu Meng. Was always around him, always trying to find ways to get better, learn as much as he can, absorb as much as he can from this person, so that way when Lu Meng passes away, Lu Xun is able to take what he's learned and build upon it and become the best person that he can for the Wu Kingdom. And in most of the games, they do have moments where, you know, Lu Meng and Lu Xun are together and they're discussing his illness, or, you know, Lu Meng dies on the battlefield and Lu Xun's there with him. So a very important battle for that. He loses that character and then he has to step up and become basically a leader in place of the person that he looked up to. Now moving on to the Battle of Yiling, it's right after the Battle of Fan Castle. This is his moment within the game. This is the battle where he really becomes really well known. Before the battle, nobody really knew who he was in terms of like outside the kingdom. He hadn't done anything too prominent yet, but he was the reason that they were able to succeed in this battle because of the fire attack that devastated Shu's forces. So pretty much within all the games, there is a cutscene or event where Lu Xun directs Shu Ran to initiate the fire attack, and it scatters Liu Bei's forces, resulting in a huge win for the Wu Kingdom. And it's a very important battle for Lu Xun because this is the moment where he stands out. It's his strategy, pitting himself against Liu Bei and Zhuge Liang, and of course the Stone Sentinel Maze. Lu Xun is like the only character, when he enters this sometimes, he is the one that has a special cutscene. He's the one that's able to break the Stone Sentinel Maze, and that's when Zhuge Liang really starts to take notice of who is this new person? How was he able to break through my invention? So that's where Lu Xun again gets another piece of his credit because he was able to break one of Zhuge Liang's iconic inventions. So a very important battle for Lu Xun, one of his most outstanding battles, probably his most significant battle within the game because this really sets the stage for who Lu Xun is going to be. Now moving on to the Battle of Shiting, getting Zhou Fang to, of course, do the fake defection and then boarding him and making sure that the plan goes well. A very important battle for Lu Xun. It's just stacking on to Lu Xun's legacy at this point. Just this really intelligent strategist, seeing where they can find an advantage within the disadvantage. Cao Pi's forces at this time was so much larger than the Wu forces, they had to find ways to outmaneuver their opponent in order to get a decisive victory and, you know, help their kingdom move forward. A very important battle for him. I think it shined more in like Dynasty Warriors 6. That's really where he really takes control of this battle. But Dynasty Warriors 9, he has a small instance as well. And at this point in time, after the Battle of Yiling, you know, Lu Xun is really at the top with Sun Quan. He's really there mainly as a commander, helping Sun Quan wherever he needs help at, guiding him in the right direction, putting the Wu forces in the best position possible in whichever situation they are. And then finally, the Battle of Hefei Castle. Now, in Hefei Castle, I think Dynasty Warriors 6 really shined Lu Xun's moment, because again, it's a similar situation to Lu Xun in approaching the Stone Sentinel Maze. He's approaching the Hefei Castle and he's looking for ways to break it. He sees all these contraptions, all these traps. You know, this Hefei Castle is a giant trap, and Lu Xun is approaching it on, okay, so how do I break it? What do I got to do to break it? And it's like a giant puzzle for him. And Lu Xun, at least within some of the games, is responsible for basically breaking it down and getting through Hefei Castle. And of course, the resulting victory is mainly due in part for Lu Xun being able to figure out what's going on. This is also the moment within a lot of the earlier games where Lu Xun pits his strategies against Sima Yi. We're also going to talk about his relationship with Sima Yi real quick, because, I mean, I might as well. So Lu Xun and Sima Yi had a relationship, one of rivalry within the earlier games. Now, Sima Yi, like I talked about in his video, discredits Lu Xun as a strategist, not really worthy of someone to come up to him. He's still young, he's still new, he hasn't really earned that credit yet. But Lu Xun during this battle really depicts his ability to be a strategist and to nullify and to, you know, go toe-to-toe with Sima Yi's strategy. And because of that, I think they have, at least within the earlier games, they had a little bit of a rivalry that Lu Xun was very wary of Sima Yi, and Sima Yi had to be wary of Lu Xun. He was like, this guy's breaking down all of the defenses and he's just successfully making his way through the castle. I have to take notice and I have to stand up to this guy. Even though when Lu Xun does confront him, Sima Yi still doesn't really acknowledge him. He doesn't really say he's worthy to really stand in front of him. But there is a little bit of a rivalry there from the earlier games. Now, talking about the remainder of his relationships, we have Sun Quan. Very obvious relationship with him because Lu Xun is the main strategist after all the previous strategists pass away, and they develop a very good bond. Sun Quan, again, ends up giving him the commanding position at the Battle of Yiling. Of course, again, like I've already mentioned, people were very hesitant to that, especially like Zhu Ran and even Han Dong a little bit was kind of like, I don't really feel comfortable with this. But again, Battle of Yiling happens, Lu Xun's plan comes to fruition. We were wrong to doubt you, and from now on we'll, you know, do whatever you say. Very good relationship with Sun Quan. I would say they're very close. The relationship definitely is a strategist to a ruler, but I would say they're close to like where they're even brothers. You know, I would say they had that relationship with each other. Sun Quan really relied on Lu Xun to help him navigate the battle or the situation that he was going through. And Lu Xun, very intelligent, able to successfully conjure up strategies to help him get through things. Very good relationship there. One of his most significant ones within the game. Now moving on to his relationship with Zhou Yu. It's very significant for Lu Xun, but it's not a long-lasting relationship. Zhou Yu ends up passing away towards like the beginning of Lu Xun's story. So in some games, when Zhou Yu doesn't die that early, Lu Xun is there to idolize the character and learn as much as he can while Zhou Yu's still around. It's a very important relationship for Lu Xun because this is the guy that is like the grandfather of the strategist in the Wu Kingdom, and he wants to learn as much as he can from him before Zhou Yu is no longer with them. So very important relationship there. It's just not, you know, he just doesn't have a lot of time to really sit there and marinate that relationship because Zhou Yu passes away so early. Now moving on to his relationship with Gan Ning, another minor / major relationship, and it's not like super important, but it's there because Gan Ning is another person who doesn't really want to take orders from Lu Xun. He's young, he doesn't really know what he's doing, he doesn't want to listen. After Lu Meng passes away, both of these characters being so close to Lu Meng come together even closer because they're like, we need to do the best we can for not only Lu Meng, but for the Wu Kingdom. So a very small relationship there. It's highlighted mostly in Dynasty Warriors 6, but very minor relationship there. Just want to mention that really quickly. Now moving on to his relationship with Zhu Ran. This is a very important relationship for Lu Xun because this is Lu Xun's rival. So these two have a very friendly rivalry with each other. It's evident within Dynasty Warriors 9 because Sun Quan asked Lu Xun to be the commander and not Zhu Ran. Zhu Ran is completely like, I did just as good as, not better than Lu Xun. Why is he commanding? And of course Han Dong jumps on that as well. He doesn't understand or agree with it, but Lu Xun and Zhu Ran have this friendly rivalry. And even when, you know, Lu Xun is selected as the commander of the battle, Zhu Ran is there to help as much as he can. Even in those moments when he's helping, Zhu Ran is trying to find a way to, you know, one-up Lu Xun. It's still a friendly rivalry. I'm going to do the best I can to prove that I'm not second best to Lu Xun. I'm just as good or even better. And I think Lu Xun definitely recognizes that and he respects Zhu Ran as a character. I don't think he participates in the friendly rivalry. I don't think he's like actively participating. He's very mellow, very calm about it. He doesn't seem to really like delve into that too much. You don't really see that competitiveness come out for Lu Xun, but Zhuran definitely has it. There's a little bit of jealousy there, and he just wants to prove that he's just as good as Lu Xun. Good relationship that they have with each other, and I like really seeing their interactions within the game. Now moving on to the last two relationships, we have Dingfang and Zhu Sheng. A very similar relationship with these two because, you know, they're part of the new generation of Wu. You know, it's Lu Xun, Zhuran, Dingfang, and Zhu Sheng. So these four have a pretty close relationship because they're the new generation. They're the ones that's going to be carrying the torch of the Wu Kingdom from the old generation. So Lu Xun has a very close relationship with these two. It's not like super close, but again, more of a reliability thing, more of a, you know, these two respect the decision that Sun Quan has given, that, you know, Lu Xun has been given the commander of the army, and they're just there to help, doing whatever they can in order to help propel the Wu Kingdom forward. They're there. So there's a very minor relationship there. They're usually, you know, all with each other, talking and stuff, figuring out what to do next. Now moving on quickly to Lu Xun's death. It's not mentioned within the games. None of the games really go over it. There was a succession struggle of deciding who was going to succeed Sun Quan after he passes away. And I believe Sun Quan, he's in favor of his younger son being his heir versus the firstborn. So I believe Lu Xun subscribed to the divine right and the blood right theory versus Sun Quan favoring the younger son for whatever reason that he did. So Lu Xun and Sun Quan ended up falling out of favor because of this, and because of that, Lu Xun ended up dying because of anger and frustration because, you know, Sun Quan wasn't heeding his advice or whatever it was. And then after Lu Xun died, you know, Sun Quan ended up regretting what he did to Lu Xun. None of the games really go over it. We don't see it within the games, but that's kind of what happened in history. And that's pretty much all I have for Lu Xun here. Number 8 on the list. He's one of the top 10 characters. He's the last Wu character that will be on the list. So according to the polls, he's the most popular Wu character within the Dynasty Warriors series. He's a character that I've always liked. He can easily be in my top 10. We'll see where he lands up in my next, you know, rankings that I do and everything. But he's one of my favorites. I've always liked him. His weapon style is really cool. His personality is amazing. My favorite relationship for Lu Xun is him and Zhuran. You know, Lu Xun has a personality that I can really connect with, and I really like that about the character. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I have for Lu Xun here, guys. Let me know what you guys think about him down below. But that's all I have for the video, guys. If you enjoyed it, definitely appreciate a like, comment, or subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching, everyone.